Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for attending the District 6 conference. Deeply appreciate and welcome the honor of introducing our speaker today. He is our Speechcraft chair. Vince Bollinger has been serving as the Speechcraft chair this year, and he is the area director of the year for Division E for the 2016-2017 year. He's also a charter member of the Tech Masters Club in 2009 and will be the division director for the new District 106 in the upcoming Toastmasters year. He's here to talk to us today about how to create a membership building program for your club that culminates in a Speechcraft workshop to onboard your new club mates and make them stronger beginning right off the bat. Please help me welcome Vince Bollinger.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm letting you know everybody else is over there is missing out. All right. So today we're going to be talking about beating the clock with Speechcraft. We're going to kind of combine membership building drives, like beat the clock, with Speechcraft. I'll tell you why that's a good idea in the meantime. All right. So agenda today, we're going to have a brief overview of Speechcraft. We're going to make a promotional. We're going to kind of go over a promotional schedule, which you should all have an example of sitting on your spot. And we're going to talk about executing the schedule, and we're going to talk about a case study from the Shakopee Toastmasters that I had submitted a wonderful high-performance leadership program on Speechcraft and their efforts doing this exact same kind of thing. And then we're going to talk about planning the actual Speechcraft workshop, and we're going to go over some Speechcraft resources. All right, first, a few questions. Who had never heard of Speechcraft before today? Never heard of Speechcraft before today? Who's never run a Speechcraft before? Get to the majority. All right. Who is considering Speechcraft for the first time? Who's here just to get a free kit? All right. If you didn't know, if you are to put Speechcraft kits are what you need. I have all the materials for what you're going to end up needing to run a Speechcraft. Normally, they would cost $20. If you sign up today and pledge that you're going to actually run a Speechcraft, then I'll follow up with you and everything, and you can get a kit for free today. All right, so let me know afterward if you would like that. All right. Whenever you want to go forward, that's great. All right, I guess I'll walk over here. All right, there you go. Speechcraft overview. Speechcraft is a 4, 6, or 8 session workshop. You can hold it inside or outside your club meeting, depending upon really how many people are in your club, who's willing to. I mean, if you want to go ahead and run it outside of your club, there are a lot of reasons why you might want to do that. But at the same time, you're going to be asking a lot more of your club mates. Like, are you willing to come in on a Saturday morning to do that kind of thing for the next month or whatever it is? Or you can hold it during your normal club meetings, and maybe you're going to get a little bit more people to help you. Especially since we're going to be talking about a membership building drive rather than any of the other reasons why people might run a Speechcraft workshop. That might be a better course of action. So, if sometimes when people are trying to create a Toastmasters club, they think, okay, so we got a bunch of new people, nobody really knows what they're doing. Why don't we run a Speechcraft workshop? Because Speechcraft is kind of an onboarding to Toastmasters. You focus on the new members, you educate them and mentor them for a few weeks through each of these sessions, and you try to get them to learn the Toastmasters way much more quickly than regular members would join. So it teaches the fundamentals of public speaking. You run through the first few competent communicator speeches. The first speech is going to be an icebreaker. Then you do the organizer speech, just like you would in a normal competent communicator, normal Toastmasters member when they start. And there's a very strong mentoring aspect. They don't just have the roles, they're going to have a one-on-one mentor. So if you have 5 people in your club and you really want to get more people in, you could have up to 5 new people come in to run a Speechcraft workshop and then hopefully convert them all to members. You're going to work one-to-one with them so that they'll have a lot of mentoring. It'll help the club become better mentors, and the new members are going to be very, very strong. So it's similar to a normal club meeting. There's a structured agenda with guides and workbooks. You'll notice in here, there's a coordinator's guide here, and it'll tell you all about the agendas and how to run each of the individual sessions. And then there are workbooks for each of the individual participants. And you have targeted educational speeches. For week 1, for example, you're trying to get people to figure out how to actually do anything, how to give any kind of speech, like an icebreaker. And then as the sessions go along, you're going to teach them how to give an evaluation or how to introduce somebody. And a lot of these things can be taken from the Better Speaker series or the Successful Club series. Also, a lot of the individual educational speeches have outlines in the coordinator's guide. So a lot of people will think, isn't this harder than a normal meeting to plan? But it isn't actually at all, because it's very normal, very typical Toastmasters meeting, but the agendas are given to you, and they're telling you what the speeches are going to be about and what you're trying to teach people. So in general, it's actually easier. Participants do more and more each session. The first session is all about educating the new people. You're trying to teach them how to give a speech at all. You're trying to tell them what Toastmasters is all about. The second meeting, they give their icebreaker speeches, but that's it. The rest of the club members are going to be the ones that are going to be providing the rest of the content for the meeting. But then the next meeting, you might have them introduce each other and give their organizing speech. And the next meeting, they're going to introduce each other, give a speech, and evaluate each other. Maybe on your last session, you're going to have someone running table topics, another one being a timer, another one, they're going to be giving a speech, they're going to be evaluating each other. They're basically going to be running almost all the meeting roles except for Toastmaster, and they're going to be ready to go. After the session is done, they've done most of the roles, and they're ready to be a functioning member of your club, and usually a little bit stronger than somebody who had normally joined your club at a normal time. Speechcraft in general is for new or non-Toastmasters, people who aren't really interested in Toastmasters, but maybe they'd like to take a speech workshop or communication skills workshop. But of course, your end goal from a membership drive perspective is convert them to members. All right, it can be used to start a new club. Like I said, you train a lot of new people quickly, and you can get help from strong Toastmasters in the area. So for example, maybe your area director or maybe your Speechcraft chair can come and help you guys out. It can also be used as an educational tool, like community outreach, and you may be interns at a corporate club, for example. But again, what I'm trying to go for here, what we're talking about today, is use this for membership building. And it could also be used as a fundraiser for the club. These workshops you can charge $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, depending upon what you're doing. If you want to run an eight session workshop on improving public speaking, and you give people maybe treats and coffee, and you give them these workbooks, and you do a really good job, and you bring in the right people, it could be really valuable. But generally, you're going to charge more like $20 or $25, basically because what you're trying to do is figure out how you can get them to join. So you charge maybe something like $20 or $25, and then if they join, you put the cost of their membership toward, or their workshop fee toward the cost of membership. Then all of a sudden they get to be a member for free. But if they don't join, well, hey, guess what? You just raised a bunch of money for your club. So, hey, whatever, no big deal. All right, so Speechcraft increases membership. You notice right here, these handouts that I have on the Speechcraft booth over there. Speechcraft, your club's #1 membership building tool. So this isn't like some grand idea that I had. Wow, this would be a good idea to use for membership building. This is what Toastmasters International says is your #1 membership building tool. There's a club in the Twin Cities that runs Speechcraft every year, and they say something like 80 to 90% of their members come from Speechcraft. So yeah, very good tool to increase membership. Because what you're doing is you're basically telling them, this is a really good workshop to check out, and then when they come in, they say, this is great, I want to keep doing this. But also, if they've been thinking about joining Toastmasters or checking it out, running this workshop is going to be like a little extra, little carrot to dangle in front of them. All right, so tip for membership building. I recommend a 4-session workshop. Again, you could do a 6 or 8 as well, but I recommend 4 because I recommend doing this yearly, or at least very frequently. If you were to run, let's say you meet once a week, and there are 52 weeks in a year. Let's say for holiday reasons or snow days or whatever, you miss 4 meetings in a year. So now you're down to 48. If you were to have an 8-session schedule, that would mean 1 out of 6 meetings is a Speechcraft meeting. Consistently, year over year, that's a little much. So I say bring it down to 4. The biggest thing is you're trying to give them the absolute utmost basics of public speaking, They go and they give 3 speeches. They still give an evaluation. They still introduce each other. They're really ready to go. And you can keep the costs down. Also, you're keeping the buy-in and you're keeping the current members happy because you're going to be doing this on a consistent basis. Keep it at the normal time and place. A lot of times people will say, well, why don't we expand our reach and go to a different time or a different place to try to reach new people? Maybe that might work from time to time, but in general, if someone can't make your current meeting time and place, why would they join your club later? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Also, you are then taxing your current members to say, hey, can you have that extra meeting so we can do the Speechcraft thing? It's kind of hard to get people, more than 1 or 2 people, to do a lot of extra effort. So if you take it outside of the club meeting time and place, you're not going to get a lot of help from the rest of your club mates. So I suggest normal meeting time, normal place, 4 sessions. All right, make a promotional schedule. So here's a sample promotional schedule. Again, you have one on your chair, so please feel free to peruse while we're going over it. Again, this is totally made up. This is as if it were today, for example. Let's say we're trying to beat the clock and get 5 new members into our Toastmasters Club. Here, we got enough people. We've got a Toastmasters Club right here. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get 5 new people to join by the end of June, right? So here we are. We're in week 1. We're going to say, okay, we're going to create a flyer this week, okay? And then next week, we're going to, whoever it is, vice president of public relations or somebody who's really good with Photoshop, something like that. Hey, I've got an idea for it, whatever it is. All right. They're going to go out, they're going to make it. They're going to bring, 50 copies next week. All right. Now, what I said, there's a bunch of different tips down here. Kind of go the extra mile with that flyer. Design them well. Like I said, Photoshop, something really a powerful tool. Use proper Toastmasters branding, like I did at the top of the schedule here. And print it on glossy cardstock so that when you're posting these flyers up, it kind of pops, right? And that it's, a little more robust, stuff like that. So go the extra mile. Use club funds. Instead of 1 cent per sheet, it's going to cost you 5 cents, no big deal, whatever. Go ahead and spend that extra $2 so that you have really high quality flyers and they pop out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to task everybody with putting out 1 flyer each week. Doesn't sound like a lot. Figure out what makes sense for you. Maybe your community club, so it doesn't matter. It could be a coffee shop, a restaurant, maybe your corporate club. Where are the bulletin boards that you can post these things? So everyone in the club, hey, please take a flyer and find 1 place where you can put these flyers each week. If you've got 10 people showing up to each of your meetings, you've got 7 weeks of flyers, that's 70 flyers. You're going to paint the town with these things. You're definitely going to get the word out, right? Then, from a personal perspective, what's the most effective way of getting people to come to your club from a promotional standpoint? Feed them, okay. The best way to reach out. Personal invitation, that's correct. So, if we're starting here as week 1, and week 8 is the last week of June, where we're going to start our Speechcraft, and we're going to have all these people join, you should be able to, each person here should be able to invite 8 people. If everybody got 10 people showing up to a meeting, and you've got 8 weeks, that's literally 80 personal invitations. And figure out how you're going to, it's kind of hard to say, like, well, who did you ask this week, and what did they say? It's a little somewhat inappropriate, but at the same time, what I've definitely found is a lot of people are like, okay, I'm not the VP of Public Relations, or we've got the guy who's going to be the coordinator for the Speechcraft. They're going to do all the work. I'm not going to invite anybody. You really need to bring that up every meeting. Like, hey, we need everyone on the same page here. We need everyone to sit down and think. Is there a coworker of yours that has been asking you, hey, what are you doing Monday morning? How did you come in a little late? Or what are you doing over lunch Tuesday afternoon? You're always out from 12 to 1. What's going on? And maybe somebody who said, I've looked at Toastmasters, haven't, checked it out or whatever, but I thought it sounded pretty cool. Whatever it is, the person that's kind of expressed some kind of interest, just go ahead and say, hey, why don't you come now? You said you've been interested before. This is the perfect time to join. This is the perfect time to check us out, because we're going to run this really cool workshop, and it's all about focusing on the new people and onboarding them very quickly so that they become strong Toastmasters. It would be better to check it out now than literally any other time. So again, personal invitations, very important. flyers of some kind of physical thing, a business card, anything that everybody can pass out, and literally just one per week. 10 members in the club doing that. Dozens and dozens of personal invitations, dozens of flyers laying around. All right, and of course, electronic. So we created our flyer week 1. Week 2, a sign-up form is a really good idea. Something like, I know Google Forms has something like that. So if you have a Google account for your club or just any personal account, you can make a Google Forms. And there are other kinds of sign-up sheets where the one I use, you set up the URL and you send it out to people, and it'll say, here's when we're doing it, and what's the first name. It's basically just a registration form. You could also do it on Eventbrite or something like that. But anyway, some kind of sign-up form in week 2, and week 3, from electronic perspective, some kind of long-form post. Because maybe it's going to take a while to draft up something that you're going to post on LinkedIn, or you're going to post up on Meetup, something like that. Draft them up, and pass them around. Ask for some feedback on them, whatever it is. Get it, spread it around your club and say, okay, this is what I want to say. This looks good. And then go ahead and post it on things like LinkedIn, Meetup, Facebook, whatever it is. Big long-form posts, Eventbrite, whatever it is you feel like doing. If you're wondering about social media stuff, build a time machine, go back a couple hours and see Diane Winneland's talk right here. So, let me know. All right. Next is regular social media, things like Twitter, anything about retweeting, sharing, stuff like that. Put those, post all the long form stuff on the other things. Say, hey, why don't you check out our post on, LinkedIn or Meetup or something like that. Then make sure everyone is doing that. Everyone should be retweeting and sharing. And be honest, literally everyone's got a Facebook group or a Facebook page. So everybody's got a Twitter. Everybody's got something. Everybody's on Meetup, whatever it is. And in whatever way, shape, or form that they can share or retweet or whatever it is, beg them to do that. Literally, you can do it at every meeting. And this doesn't have to be exactly the way it works. Maybe some things don't work for you guys, or maybe you don't want to wait 8 weeks. Maybe you want to start June 1st instead of June 30th. Condense if it makes sense for you. All right. Then the district sits calendar. A lot of times people are saying, hey, I would like to check out a club that's running Speechcraft. I'll get it on the district sits calendar. Maybe somebody heard about Speechcraft and they wanted to check out who might be running it, and they're brand new Toastmasters. Online groups. For example, on Meetup, there's a ton of different Meetup clubs. Maybe they're not Toastmasters, but maybe they're about public speaking. Or maybe they're, for example, I'm in a club that's all IT people. Maybe I could reach out to different Meetup groups that have people that give presentations, user groups, things where people give up and give presentations, and you can go to them. You can either reach out to them physically, go to their meetings, or send an email to the group and say, hey, anybody want to improve their public speaking skills so they could present at this Meetup group? Come check us out. We're putting on a workshop. Stuff like that. And again, right at the end there, make sure everybody's reminding everybody, retweeting, sharing, stuff like that. Now slide over to anything else, anything that's not electronic or physical or personal invitations. Early on, you want to look at things like the community education. Those things like, hey, summer education for the community. Sometimes they allow you to put things like Speechcraft in it. So call them or email them or whatever really, really, really far in advance. Sometimes they have to get these things out a month or 2 in advance. So get on that really quickly. Local newspapers, not just something like the Star Tribune or Pioneer Press. That might be a little bit too big or important for you, but they're really, really ultra local news. A lot of times they're just begging for a story. They're begging for some kind of content. And if you can say, hey, why don't you come to one of our meetings and take a picture of somebody giving a presentation and interview somebody, the president, vice president of public relations, whatever it is, and say, let's talk about this workshop we're going to have in a month or 2. And honestly, a lot of them will definitely do that. I've seen full-page articles about a Toastmasters group just on a whim, on a phone call or an email, and all of a sudden they've got full-page newspaper article with a big picture on it, and people have come and they say, hey, I saw you guys in the little local newspaper. I thought it sounded cool, so I thought I'd check out the Toastmasters. All right, events. Now, what I mean by events are events that have anything to do with, like I said, public speaking, I don't know, whatever, Ignite, anything, doesn't matter. Anything that has anything to do with public speaking or your club, maybe your specialty, something like that. Try to reach out, try to find out, can we go there to give an announcement or just to network, whatever it is. Presentations. Now, what I mean by that is, can you go to any local organization, any company, and give a talk? Like, hey, over the lunch, we're going to do this thing. And maybe you're meeting in a building, whether it's a corporate club or not. If you're meeting in a building, ask the people that work there. Ask the HR head or whatever. Is there a way that we can, work with you guys? Is there a way to, find out how we can help serve you? Like, hey, you guys have some sort of an employee improvement plan type thing. You guys have to take any kind of leadership training or anything like that. Toastmasters is a really good opportunity. How can we talk to either, decision makers like managers or HR people, or give a presentation to a whole bunch of employees? Try doing those kinds of things. As a member of TechMasters, what we like to do is we look for conferences and meetup groups and stuff, and try to either present at a conference and just mention, oh yeah, by the way, we're running this workshop, you should check us out, while we're giving a technical presentation, or just a note at the beginning of the meeting, like, hey, can we give an announcement, and do stuff like that. Past guests. Maybe somebody came by and they were maybe a little intimidated. They thought, boy, I saw this really wonderful speaker give a presentation. How am I supposed to follow them up? Let them know, hey, we're going to bring in a whole bunch of brand new people, and you're all going to be competing against each other. You're all going to be giving your icebreakers at the same time, and we're going to be focusing on you. We're going to be giving you that one-on-one mentorship, and we're going to make sure that you get up to speed really quickly. Past members, not only might they be interested in coming back if they find out that you're doing really cool things, like running really fun workshops, but also maybe remind them, like, hey, maybe you were in our club for 5 years, then all your communication leadership goals and said, all right, I'm done. What about spreading that forward? Hey, do you have another coworker nowadays that maybe you might want to do that? Just let the past members know, hey, we're doing really cool stuff now, and maybe you should send this along to whomever might be able to benefit from it. Neighboring clubs. This one's pretty interesting. In general, let's say you're trying to run on Speechcraft and you want 5 to 8 people. You got 4 people signing up. You're like, we could use a couple more people. Talk to neighboring clubs and say, hey, there's someone that just joined last week. Do you want them to run through an onboarding process so that in a month from now they'll have given 3 speeches and they'll be much stronger? Send them our way. Now, you could definitely be doing that just to help each other out, just to fill up your roster of Speechcraft participants. You might accidentally poach them, whatever it is. These are all good reasons to do that. All right, and also you might, some of the neighboring clubs might go, wow, they do cool stuff that we don't do. Maybe I want to join them. Whatever. And another thing is, what if somebody is looking for, some sort of extra credit? Try to be a mentor for their competent leader, or maybe they want to be a coordinator for a workshop to get their advanced communicator goal. Maybe they say, hey, can I help out? Can I be a mentor? Can I, see how I can assist you? That kind of thing. And then, of course, the week before, any kind of reminders you need to give. You collected all these different email addresses from people signing up and people responding here and there, and personal invitations where people have come in and signed your guest book. Tell everybody, hey, we got to go send reminders out. Hey, this is starting next week. Here's what to expect, etc., etc. All right. Anything else, anybody? Of course, if you look at the bottom here, there are a bunch of little extra tips on each of these different things. For the social media stuff, maybe you've thought about, I think it would be really good to use Meetup for this, but you don't have a Meetup group. Go ahead and make a Meetup group. Perfect time to kick it off, right? Let's see, corporate clubs, they have their own rules and, of course, opportunities. You might be able to get a captive audience of a whole bunch of people. Maybe you can get interns, for example. I know there's a company that does that, where they have interns every summer, and they do Speechcraft. And any of those interns that become permanent employees are frequently members of the club now. But anyway, let's see. Like I said, come up with a pleasant way to keep the personal invitations rolling. Some kind of recognition system, like, you invited 3 people this week. Wow, congratulations. Or maybe some kind of contest, like, hey, whoever signs up to most personal invitation gets an extra pin, or, I don't know, whatever, a gift certificate to the Toastmasters International store, whatever it is. Whatever it is, again, maybe do something like write in the club, like say, want everyone to write down a name. You're not going to share it with us, but you're going to write down a name, and that's going to remind you, this week, I'm going to invite that person, right? Anything that will actually keep that rolling. Because if you just say, hey, don't forget to invite someone, odds are most people won't, because they're a little bit shy, and they're, they're kind of scared to actually do something like that. But anyway, have a concrete explanation of who will do what as soon as possible with timelines. People are reminded about these things and they're checked in on. If you say, hey, so we're going to task you with making a flyer by the end of next week, right? So you show up week 2, you're all expecting a flyer. Oh, oops, I forgot. Make sure they don't forget. Reach out to them a couple days later. Hey, how's that flyer coming? You want some feedback on it? That kind of thing. Check in on these people, making sure that all these different things happen. Hey, did you contact the people at Lily newspaper or the bulletin, whatever it is? And they say, oh, I forgot. Keep them keep them in check. Say, hey, we really need to get that done. We need to make sure this happens. And did you coordinate with that company? Did you find that time, like you said you're going to, that sort of thing? And of course, whoever's in charge of doing each of these different things, make sure that there's a time frame on it, a time limit, and that you've actually made sure that it's followed up with them that they've actually done it. Whatever you do, the very last thing I wrote at the bottom right is don't let the ball drop. If somebody doesn't do that job, somebody drops the ball, catch it. Don't let that fail. Because you don't want this single point of failure where, oh, we didn't make flyers the whole time because nobody cared or nobody followed up on it. Or, we didn't reach out to past guests and members, which could have lost us out on a couple of people in our Speechcraft workshop. Make sure that these things actually happen, even if you have to do it yourself. You might end up having to do half of this by yourself. Whatever it is, make sure it happens. All right. Execute the schedule. We planned our schedule, let's execute it. Everyone needs to help. This can't just be one person or 2 people. You can't just say, well, you're a strong member and you want to do the Speechcraft, so it's all on you. You have to remind people of this, like, hey, it really does take a whole team. And people, I don't. So you need to send those personal invitations. It's going to be a lot more effective than if I were to ask them. Explain this importance with every email, every communication you have with them. Again, don't let the ball drop, like I mentioned on that sheet. Don't let it happen. Make sure that it does happen, that whatever things you were planning on doing, and then make sure that they happen. This is the best time to check us out. That's kind of like a big, selling point, a little carrot to dangle in front of everyone. This is the best time to check us out. You considered checking out Toastmasters before, you considered joining. There's no better time than the present. And you can even say that specifically for right now. Not only are you going to have your Speechcraft in a month or 2, but Pathways is rolling in. And that's a huge, giant step forward for, in technology for Toastmasters. Way more, 21st century. Wow, it's far more interesting and everything. So you can say this is literally the best time to check us out. But of course, because it's Speechcraft, and people have considered it may come, it's kind of like an extra incentive. Yes, it's Toastmasters, but we're going to be gearing it toward you. We're going to be onboarding you. We're going to be getting a lot of exposure. You're going to get that one-on-one mentoring. This is the best time. Like I said, try a workshop, 4 weeks or whatever, to see if you like it. You should be converted because Toastmasters should help a lot of people, and they should be able to get helped quite a bit in just that 1 month. And it's great value. Charge $20, $25, and you get 4 weeks of Speechcraft, you get the workshop, you get the mentoring. Great value, right? And it's easiest to convert to permanent members when they've gone through the ringer, they walked out and they could see that noticeable improvement in just 1 month, right? Great workshop. All right. 5 steps to achieve excellence. Put a trademark, registered, because that's what Harold Osmondson made recently. All right, so what I wanted to do is show you how you can kind of incorporate what the district is trying to promote with your membership building drive. So, engage. That's one of the 5 steps, right? Work as a team. Again, this isn't going to be one person. You have to work as a team to make sure that this happens. Leverage pathways. Again, exciting new education system. If you ever thought about joining Toastmasters, now is the perfect time. We have an entirely new education system, way more 21st century, very interesting. Invite. That's one of the 5 steps of excellence, right? Invite. Send personal invitations. That's definitely going to be the way that you're going to meet your membership building guideline. Promote. That's what we just talked about for 5 or 10 minutes. How to promote Speechcraft. And recognize. Recognize efforts and results. Not only are you recognizing efforts, like I've personally invited 14 people, or I've put out 9 flyers, whatever it is, but also the results. Like, yeah, I came because, this guy over here recommended it to me, or met her at a coffee shop and she said, "Hey, you should come check out the thing I'm putting on this flyer up here." Remember, about those flyers, one thing I didn't mention, I think I wrote it down here. Always ask before you put up any flyer. I've never been told no, but if you don't ask, they'll just take it down. So make sure to ask. All right. And of course, if you want to learn more about the Strive for Excellence and 5 steps to achieve it, that's where I got that. And of course, it's just a good methodology for trying to improve your membership. All right. Case study. The Shakopee Toastmasters High Performance Leadership Action Plan. We're not going to, of course, that text is going to be a little bit hard to read. That's not the point. You're not supposed to read it. But the point is that they wanted to set up a high performance leadership plan to have a big, strong Speechcraft. Now, they went through a lot of different things, and they went through a gigantic amount of effort. There are a lot of pros and a lot of cons to what they did, but the whole point is they went through a very tedious promotional schedule, similar to what we looked at, but even crazier. Again, we're not going to read every single line here, but hey, they said, what are we trying to get out of this? We have overall objectives, we have a vision, we have a mission, core values, and an action strategy. Pretty thorough, right? Again, you don't have to get quite this detailed, but just letting you know that you could do something like create a high-performance leadership program in order to achieve a really strong Speechcraft result. All right, so their goals, they actually set concrete goals of how many people they wanted to sign up for Speechcraft and how many they wanted to convert. Because if you have 5 people sign up, 4 people will show up week 2, 3 people will finish, 2 people will join as permanent members. Consider that a success. Don't think of it as like, oh, I thought we were going to get 5 new members out of it. If you can, great. Sometimes you do. But typically speaking, someone's going to get stage fright and they're not going to finish. And another person will say, well, thank you for the workshop. That's all I was here for. Maybe I'm not going to join on as a club. All right. But anyway, so they have concrete goals of what they're expecting and what they're shooting for, and then they're building a plan to try to execute it. All right. Now we have a project plan and timetable, and this is very similar to the promotional schedule, the kind of schedule, the sample schedule that I put on each of your spots here. They have, in August, they wanted to, for example, reach out to the community education, like I said, do that early because sometimes it takes a couple months. Then they want to reach out to newspapers and try to find, in their case, they needed to find a host because they were people, district leaders who were trying to find a host for this. And what we're talking about is this is going to be for your club. We're trying to improve the membership of your club. Again, I'm not going to go over all this because it's very long, very tedious. But if you notice, they have their timeline of what they're planning, first what they're going to do and what they're planning or when they're planning on doing it. This is very over the top and I would say very inefficient. I think that what I've discussed in the sample promotional schedule here is a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, and you'll get every bit as good results if everybody does what we put down on that sample as they did. All right. Again, this is literally part 2 of their schedule. It's that long. They're talking about where they're going to put out their flyers, for example, here. They have a LinkedIn page for the Shakopee Toastmasters. They have a web page. There's a job fair they found, and they wanted to advertise there. Didn't happen, but at least they talked to them, right? Do that kind of thing. Some things will pan out, some things won't. Advertise to other clubs, and they post it on the D6 calendar. Again, very important, so everyone knows. All right. Now I blurred all the contact information out, but they collected a whole bunch of contacts so that they can figure out how they can coordinate and advertise to a bunch of people and give presentations, etc. to try to get people in. So go ahead and list those things out, and in your case, you're just going to say, brainstorm some ideas, and then follow up with them. Hey, did you call them? In the last couple of days, did you email them? What they say? How are we going to be able to reach out to them? Can we give a presentation to them? Can we invite some of them to check us out? Stuff like that. Again, workforce center, District 6 calendar, flyers, Craigslist events, a bunch of different things that they did. Get creative, do whatever makes sense for you guys. Now, plan the actual Speechcraft workshop. We've gone through the promotional aspect of it. We figured out how we're going to do it. We're starting to execute our schedule. Now let's say, hey, we actually probably eventually plan the workshop. What do you guys think? So first, get a Speechcraft kit. This guy right here, normally $20, but if you sign a pledge form that I have out in the Speechcraft booth over there. I will give one to you for free. But anyway, it has a coordinator's guide, which is going to have all of your agenda sessions ready for you so you know exactly what you're going to do and all the tips and tricks about how to actually get that done effectively. There are 5 workbooks in here, so that is for 5 participants. If you have more than that, awesome, but typically 5 is about a good number. The biggest thing to think about if you're going to try to get in like 15 people is 15 people giving 4-minute speeches each is an hour, and that's just the speeches. What about your evaluations and your introductions and your table topics? So you're going to start running real long if you think you're going to get 10 or 12 or 15 people. So anyway, 5 workbooks, a couple coordinators manuals. There are some brochures about getting the word out. Like there's 2 different kind of brochures. One is for trying to explain Speechcraft to your clubmates and why it's a good idea to put it on, how a membership building tool, and the other one is a brochure about trying to reach out to prospective participants. Anyway, choose a coordinator. Should be somebody who knows something about Speechcraft, or somebody who's sold on it, somebody who actually wants to go ahead and be the Toastmaster for 4 weeks in a row, somebody who really wants to wrangle those cats. Plan session agendas. Luckily, most of that work is done for you, but you will coordinate with the Vice President of Education to make sure that you know what's going on and they know what's going on so you don't schedule normal meetings. And then line up guest speakers. You can have your area director, your district Speechcraft chair, your division director, a longtime Toastmaster, whoever it is. Could even be a non-Toastmaster. And again, here's the Speechcraft kit. You got that coordinator's guide. Mentor instructions, how to be a mentor. There's literally a sheet of paper about how you're supposed to be a mentor, because you aren't going to be the only mentor. Everyone's going to be a mentor. Everyone has to be able to reach out. And we're going to do that one-on-one mentoring, right? So everyone's going to be a mentor. How do I be a mentor if I've only been a Toastmaster for 6 months? I don't know. Well, here you go. Workbooks again, brochures for the club so that you can convince your clubmates to run a Speechcraft, and then for recruitment of potential participants. And certificates like, yay, I finished a advanced communicator gold thing, and participants of certificates like, yay, I graduated from Speechcraft. Hooray me. Everybody know Expanding Your Horizons? Expanding Your Horizons is a brochure of a whole bunch of different workshops that Toastmasters runs, such as Speechcraft, but also parliamentary procedure and action, how to conduct productive meetings, improving your management skills, listening effectively, from speaker to training, stuff like that. So a lot of different really cool workshops that you can do for your Toastmasters Club. And if you wanted a Speechcraft kit, again, I know a guy who might be able to get you one for free if you fill out that Speechcraft form. Any other questions? Yep.
So we have a few questions. First of all, is this presentation going to be posted on the V6 site?
Yes.
Okay.
Long form answer to that question. Well, I think I'll give a longer version of that later on. But
Okay. I got 2 more questions.
Sure.
So, the participants will complete 3 speeches from the CC manual. How does that tie in with the pathways?
Icebreaker. So they will get credit for their icebreaker when they finish Speechcraft. So they'll have their icebreaker done.
They'll have their icebreaker done.
Yep.
Okay. And then finally, the frequency. So if the club meets once a week, do you recommend that they hold the Speechcraft 4 consecutive weeks, or do you give them a break in between?
So he's wondering about the frequency of the meetings. Now, I can understand the conundrum of should we space it out to give these newer people a little bit more time, but then Speechcraft 1 week, no Speechcraft the next week. It's a little odd, off-putting for your other members. In fact, I've gone the other direction, where a club that was meeting twice a month wanted to run a Speechcraft, and I said, sure, but for Speechcraft, we're going to do it every week. So I would say every week is the best. You definitely want to kind of get it out of the way, because you want to get on with your normal meetings, but at the same time, it's really important. You're improving your club's leadership skills, your mentoring skills. It's really immensely beneficial to the club, more than just as a membership building tool. That's what we're talking about today, but I've given presentations where it's like, look, the club is going to grow tremendously. You're going to work as a team to solve goals, to increase membership, to put out public relations stuff, and you're going to be better leaders and better mentors. Yes.
What about like doing it as a weekend seminar, doing lesson one on a Friday morning and then Friday afternoon and Saturday morning, and you can have all four done in a weekend.
So she's wondering if maybe if you had all four of them done, like 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, 1 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, something like that. You definitely could. My only issue would be they're going to need to write a speech in between each one. They're going to have to write an introduction in between each one, right? So that's it. If it were really like you're trying to be like a Dale Carnegie type school, and you're going to put the highest, most amazing production on, you're going to have everybody work really hard to do 50 hours of research on Speechcraft and do the most amazing job on everything, and you could charge $200, and you have highly motivated people who are going to do that. Great, but I think a couple things. One, that's going to be really daunting and scary for your clubmates and for the participants. But number two, again, I like to say, especially if you're trying to do it for a membership building tool, specifically to grow the membership of your club, why would you have it outside of your normal club meeting? If they're not going to be able to make it on a Wednesday evening, but Saturday's more convenient for them, they're not coming on your Wednesday meeting. It's not going to happen. Again, if you are just trying to do some sort of public outreach, and you got 30 people in your club, you don't need the extra members, and you're just trying to get somebody who wants to finish their DTM right away, so they need to get a workshop under their belt. Or if you're just trying to spread the word about Toastmasters, fantastic. That is a great reason to have a Speechcraft. But if you're really specifically trying to grow the membership of your club, I don't recommend that. I recommend that you meet during your normal meeting times and place.
That's what we do in our community. Just during our meeting.
Yeah. You meet every week, just do a whole, a whole month.
Yep.
Every week.
And you give people a
Okay.
week to write their speech and talk to their mentor, that kind of thing. All right. So jumpstart your Speechcraft journey. Again, you can get a free Speechcraft kit from me, normally $20 if you give me your name, email address, club name, club location, start date, and sign the pledge. The reason why we're doing that is that some people have reached out and said, hey, can I get one of those kits? I'm like, sure, when are you having it? And they're like, I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe I could convince the members of my club to do it if I had a kit. Well, so we're going to give you this thing that the district paid for, $20 for, that we want to give to you so that you can grow your club, but you haven't made any kind of commitment, you haven't decided on it yet. You're not going to do it. We know that, and you're just going to waste this. Let's give it to somebody who has said, you know what, Vince did a great presentation, he's totally convinced me, I'm definitely going to do this. I know I can talk to my clubmates into doing this. All right, sign the pledge, tell me when you're going to start. We're going to start the first week of July, because we're going to get those 5 people signed up by the end of June, and we're going to beat the clock. We're going to get those 5 new members, right? First week of July, boom, that's when our Speechcraft starts. All right, then what we'll do is we'll make sure that we're helping you promote. We go over the schedule and say, hey, what are you guys doing? How can we help you? How can I help you? That kind of thing. And then when you're setting up your speeches, what I'd like to do is I'd like to come visit your club, come check you guys out. I will present during your Speechcraft. Of course, I have an asterisk there, probably. All depends on whether or not if it's convenient for me. If you're from Thunder Bay, sorry, I'm not going up there. I live in St. Paul. If you're in the Twin Cities, that's a lot better. But there's still some dates and times that don't really work out for me. And I get to film it and put it on YouTube. Coming back to your question where you had a question about whether or not this is going to be on the District 6 page. Yes, this is going to be on the District 6 page. So is this presentation, because I'm recording it right now. And I will put that up there on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get a whole competent communicator done this year on Speechcraft. I think I've done 8. And then, of course, I've done a longer form workshop here, the TLI, and the fall conference. So I've got a whole bunch of them. I put other people's videos on, not just me. It's not like, ooh, look at me, I'm a narcissist. No, I found really great workshops and stuff that I found online for Speechcraft, ways to convince your clubmates to run it, ways to make sure that you run an effective Speechcraft, stuff like that. And I'll make sure that this is all available on there as well. And simply do this. All right. So, conclusion. Speechcraft entices people to join. You're thinking, if people have already thought about joining Toastmasters, they've given it consideration, they've asked you, hey, what do you do on Friday evenings? You always take off for work at 3 o'clock. What do you do? Oh, it's that Toastmasters thing. This is an extra incentive. You're saying, hey, this is the perfect time to join because we're going to put on this workshop and we're going to give you extra attention, and you're going to be competing against other new people. You don't have to follow up a distinguished Toastmaster or anything like that. Speechcraft creates strong beginners. When these people are done with Speechcraft, they'll have given 3 speeches, they'll have given an evaluation, they'll have given tabletop responses, they'll have given introductions. They'll have a role, they've been a timer or something like that. In 1 month, all of a sudden these people have been onboarded, and they're much stronger, not quite all that new Toastmasters anymore, as opposed to waiting a few months to having all those roles and speeches. Speechcraft is a great way to cap off a drive. So you're creating a membership building drive because you want to beat the clock. You want to get 5 new dual reinstated members. You want to meet all those different incentives that Harold laid out. You want to get $200 for your club, treasury, stuff like that. And this is the way to cap it off. You've brought in 5 new people. Maybe, what if you have 10 people in your club and you had 5 brand new people? And there's like this strain of newbies that don't know what's going on. If you were to put them through this workshop, all of a sudden, when they come out, they're done. They're ready to contribute. It's a great way to cap off a drive. And of course, ask me how to get a free Speechcraft kit. There are resources here, your district Speechcraft chair, which is me, the Toastmasters.org education of Speechcraft, Toastmasters.org resources Speechcraft flyer. You can download the flyer, you can modify it, all you really have to do is put in your club name, where you meet, contact information. That's it, ready to go. My videos, like I said, bit.ly/Speechcraft videos. These are case sensitive, by the way. Capital S, capital V. That's going to be my YouTube channel where I have all the different Speechcraft speeches I've given at various clubs. And this is Zach's Speechcraft presentation, bit.ly/Speechcraft D618. Again, case sensitive, capital S, capital D. Any questions or comments or any super constructive criticism? I'll go back to the resources. So I'll open the floor for Q&A. That's all I got for you. Any questions? Yes.
And a point to the question. One point is, I've done a few different Speechcrafts, and I really would encourage volunteers by letting them know they can get credit and optional membership credit, which is it's a big incentive to get people on board to be part of your group to do the Speechcraft. And the second is a question for you guys.
Sure.
Like I said, I've done a few Speechcrafts, and I've never thought of using it as a platform to charter a club. Can you talk about how that works or what that would look like?
Sure. So first thing, you were mentioning that there's an extra incentive to get people involved or to say, hey, this is better than just we're helping people out. In Competent Leader, if you help people through 3 speeches, then you get one of the more important, more difficult things to get off, and that's definitely very true. If this weren't membership drive focused, I definitely would have mentioned it. And I think one of my speeches in my competent communication one was inspiring your audience, and I was inspiring people to do a Speechcraft, and one of them was like, hey, what's in it for us? Why do we want to do this? And one of them is, hey, every mentor is going to be mentoring the same person through 3 speeches. Boom, competent leadership requirements done. The second question is, you've never heard of it in the context of starting a new club. So I think you need to have 20 people to start a new club, and only 3 can be current Toastmasters, meaning that the people in this room can't just make a club right now and say, hey, look, we made a club, and hey, we added a whole bunch of new memberships, so we get to fudge the numbers for District 6, right? And we get all our incentives, so maybe this is all free, and we get all these pins and badges and flares and stuff. No, not going to work that way. You need to have 17, literal, bare minimum, 17 people who have never been Toastmasters before. Wow. Well, that means there's going to be a lot of new people who don't know what's going on, right? So you say, maybe your mentors, your sponsors, and 3 people who've been Toastmasters before that are members of your club. You say, hey, after we get chartered, boom, we're going to run Speechcraft. Or maybe just before you get chartered, you're going to run Speechcraft, and you're going to be onboarding people and teaching them all, bit by bit. Make sense? All right. Are there any more questions or comments at all? I'll leave the resources up. Otherwise, that's all I got for you.
Thank you.